No, so yet, so we're good. Well, we're doing January 10th, meeting of the Beavercreek Rotary Club. I'd like to thank our greeters, Ed and Fran O'Shaughnessy, who are coming in with their food now. Eric Marcus is on a business trip to Dallas for tonight's game. And it's not Hook 'em Horns.
Oh,
So we have Chris Hadley filling in for him over there. Beth Handworker, and thank you so much for coming back from Person Caicos to set up because I had no idea what he was doing. I want to thank Pete Bales, Mike Weinstein, Mike Swick for the great programs, and Jim Gundel for the website. Danny, if you're available, in invitation. Oh.
Well, good afternoon on this Friday afternoon on a snowy January day. Would you please join me in prayer? The ancient Father of mankind, we bow our heads to thee, who offer thanks for the bread meat and for our rotary. Bless members, all we humbly pray, go far in land and sea, and keep us true to high ideals, we ask for Rotary. Amen.
That was interesting. Chair's report, Joe Jenkins.
yes. Live on guest.
Arjun,
Yeah.
Arjun is joining us today.
I already.
Okay.
Welcome.
Yeah.
I'll have you.
Hey, Junior. Boy, he's almost at a
Yeah.
69%. They came up to see you, listening. That's very good. Next up, Sergeant at Arms, Chris Hadley. Oh, let's not get carried away.
Thanks, sir. All right, good afternoon, fellow Rotarians and officially new Rotarians, along with our guest, same with our new Rotarians, our pseudo members, Abby Jr. and Amanda was here. I don't know if she snuck out or is getting food.
Yeah, she's out.
All right. And then, of course, our incredible speaker who will be coming up here soon. Today is January 10th, which makes obviously the 10th day of the month. It's also National, if I can get my slides to work. Right, it is also National Houseplant Appreciation Day. So if you're like my house, not me personally, but my wife, you have a houseplant or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 in every single room. And happy wife, happy life is what I've been told. So yay, houseplants. Moving on to some celebrations. We only have one upcoming birthday. That'd be yours truly here on Thursday of next week. I won't say how old or what year I was born in. Keep that a mystery. We also have a wedding anniversary today. That would be Joe and Amanda, who has joined us. Now, Amanda, if you have not gotten Joe anything for the 10-year anniversary, Jeff Schmidt down the street has a Corvette ready to order. You can just go down, buy it, and it'll be delivered as soon as it's made. You go, all right. It's not a no, Joe. It's not a no.
It's not enough.
All right, some good things that happened today in history. Going back to a famous year, 1776, a gentleman by the name of Thomas Paine published a very popular pamphlet called Common Sense, which urged American colonists toward independence. And I think that pamphlet worked out quite well. Moving on to 1920, the League of Nations held their very first meeting and ratified the Treaty of Versailles, which ended in World War I. Moving on to 1946, the very first UN General Assembly opened with 51 nations in hand. Going to 1967, Edward Brooke took his seat as the first elected Black U.S. Senate by popular vote. Moving on to 1980, the United States and Vatican established full diplomatic relations after 117 years. And then in 1986, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar of the Los Angeles Lakers scored his 34,000th career point. At that time, he was the first player to reach that milestone, and as of now, is still the all-time leader with 38,387 points, which is 38,387 points more than all of us combined have scored in our professional basketball history. Moving on to some things that we're going to celebrate this weekend and upcoming week. Tomorrow, you might be able to celebrate this, but I don't think your friends will enjoy it. It's National Step in a Puddle and Splash Your Friends Day. It is also Thank You Day. Sunday kicks off National Pizza Week. Also, if you ever worked an entry-level sales job, then this day is every day of the year, but for the rest of us, Sunday is Work Harder Day. Monday is a big day for Dave Brandenburg and his Jeep as National Rubber Ducky Day. It's also a big day for Joe and his laptop as it's National Sticker Day. Tuesday is National Dress Your Pet Up Day, along with Poetry at Work Day. Wednesday, we have National Hat Day and Elementary School Teacher Day. Thursday, we have Appreciate a Dragon Day. And also, this, I hope no one gets to celebrate, or I hope everyone gets to celebrate this one. It's National Without a Scalpel Day. And then some other things to do. If you are a dedicated Rotarian and you're sitting in here and you're waiting for the very last minute to go to that big meeting in Arlington tonight, I did read they have the really, really high seats in the stadium at 50% off. So what a great time to buy a ticket, go to that really important meeting and hang out with some other Rotarians. Also, if you have a young one that loves Legos, this weekend at the Dayton Convention Center is the Lego Brick Fest. And then Thursday, our friends at the Chamber will be down at the Greene County Fish Pantry for their monthly business links. Moving on to some Beavercreek student awesomeness. Mother Nature obviously is facing the same logistic and infrastructure issues that we all have faced, and definitely didn't get the snow here to the end of winter break. So not a lot of updates when it comes to sports, but we do have a few. We do have the women's varsity basketball team unfortunately lost a buzzer beater game to Centerville. Men's varsity basketball team unfortunately lost as well to St. Xavier. And
Wrestling one, right?
they did. Awesome. Men or women or both? Awesome.
Varsity.
All right, and that wraps that up. So moving right along to our favorite part, today's fines. If you're not wearing your badge, that will be $1. If you were late, that is $1. If you have ever worked on a Sunday, that will be $1. If you've already broken a New Year's resolution, that's $1. And next week, if you are not adding pineapple to your pizza for Pizza Week, that'll be $1.
Protest.
Love it. I didn't say you have to eat it.
So anybody in here happy? Yeah.
I am happy. Give a big thank you to City of Beavercreek for the wonderful job they did on the roads. Yes. The snow event here each day.
Oh, I concur with that. I usually get a lot of phone calls during this time. And all of them were positive, which is really good. So Pete, that's that long if you would, please. So. Pete.
I'm happy and I can represent Eric since he's not here. We're both happy because both got our tickets to the national championship game next Monday. So let's go Bucks tonight and make it happen.
Wow. Very good. To hear that, Mark. Poke 'em hard. Anyone else?
That I can hear everybody do this wonderful lady and
That's very good. Congratulations. Pete.
I had a $5 happy buck, I appreciate it. It's been a rough couple of months for me with my grandpa and then my father passing away. I appreciate all the outpourings, support and prayers and thoughts that it really does mean a lot to me. This group, so, and I concur with the greatness guys in public services that I did last week and what they will do today, so I appreciate them. So, thank you.
Very good. Joy,
Can I give happy bucks?
you certainly.
Okay, I have two happy bucks. Our men's and women's teams, women's basketball, men's basketball, both got much needed wins this week, and they were both at home, which is always a pleasure. So
Thank you, yes. Anyone else? Okay, take it going. Would you all take us out? Or half the proceeds, let's go to Christmas basket program. And hopefully the other half will go to someone in this room soon. Wow. There you go. Okay, the number is what? 856 457. What?
Say it one more time.
856 457. 57. There's a couple of words that's looking for the grammars. Yeah, we're getting more. Joe, you're still in it. Yeah. All right, any announcements for the club? Nothing, anyone else? Okay, I've got a couple at the end, but one of them just about Chief Beavercreek's party here this afternoon, starting at 2 o'clock. So right now, let's give to our speaker. Jordan Brown has been a part of the Wright State Athletic Administration since 2014. Most recently serving as Deputy Athletic Director, Senior Woman Administrator, and now as Director of Athletics. In her previous roles, Joylyn represented the university as a designated Senior Woman Administrator in conference and NCAA matters, and is the Deputy Title IX Coordinator for Athletics and served as the Athletics Diversity and Inclusion Designee, overseeing programming for staff and student athletes on diversity, equity, and inclusion. In the absence of the Director of Athletics, she directed the overall administration of the department, and she's now serving as the Director of Athletics. Brown oversees all areas of the athletic department, including its current operations and growth, prioritizing the PSA model, valuing all student athletes as people first, students seconds, and athletes third. She's an advocate for all student athletes and takes pride in empowering them to be leaders of the future. Joan is no stranger to Wright State. She played volleyball for the Raiders from 1989 to 1992 and was an all-conference performer before later serving as assistant coach in 1996 to 98 and then head coach from 1998 to 2005 the volleyball program. During her time as head coach, she was named the Horizon League Coach of the Year in 2001, before she was also selected as the ABCA Midwest Region Coach of the Year. In addition to her contributions to Wright State, Brown also represents the NCAA Forum for Women's Basketball Coaches and American Volleyball Coaches at the international conventions. She graduated from Wright State in 1993 with a bachelor's degree in communications with a concentration in English. Please welcome Wright State University Athletic Director and my friend, Joylyn Brown.
that was quite the introduction. I hope I didn't help you. Well, I did. I already dropped the magic wand. Oh, so I was here. When was that? This summer? I think for a very brief introduction of myself, and since then I have been promoted to athletic director, which is very, very exciting. I was interim at the time, which if any of you have held the interim titles, you know how fun it is. You feel like you made one mistake, you're out. So I was glad when they dropped that from my title. But more than that, I'm so proud to be representing Wright State Athletics today and Wright State University. I'm really, really proud of what we do there. the way we do things, and I want to share some of that with you today. So I am going to talk about name, image, and likeness, and kind of the state of the NCAA right now, which it's really in flux. But before I do that, I want to tell you just a little bit about our student athletes and things that have been going on with Drake's athletics. So this photo is, of course, my friend Rowdy, but this is from our golf outing. We do a golf outing every year in May, and it's a fundraiser for all of our athletic teams. We typically do it at Walnut Grove. So if this is something that anyone is interested in, if you go on our website, you can find more information about it. We'd love to have you and have force them out. So let's see. Academics first. This is from last semester, but I'm going to update you what we did this past fall. So this is from spring semester. Our departmental GPA was a 3.382. As of now, we have 61 consecutive terms of a 3.0 or higher departmental GPA. So that's every single team combined, it's above a 3.0. We have an 88% graduation success rate. So that represents the number of students who stayed at Wright State and graduated within 6 years of enrollment. 7 teams with perfect national academic progress rate scores, and then 85 student athletes named to the Horizon League honor roll. So we have about 200 and we're almost at 300 student athletes. So when you look at the numbers of how many student athletes we have and how many have been successful academically, it's something we're really proud of. So this slide, it's going to be hard to read, but I just wanted to show you. So our department semester GPA from fall semester was a 3.441, which is more than it was in the spring. And then our department cumulative GPA was a 3.499. That's cumulative, which is to me very impressive. And I just wanted to show you this. These are the graphics that we use, but this is literally every single one of our teams that we have in our department. We're all above a 3.0. So it has their semester GPA and their cumulative GPA. And the ones who led in the fall, we had men's soccer's cumulative is a 3.6 with a 3.44 semester. And then women's basketball, where's women's basketball? The bottom right, Johnny or somewhere. Bottom right, it's like 4 Oh no. Should I not get them here? See, they led and I left them off. Can you believe that? It's hard to be good health nowadays. Oh, they're right here. So the semester GPA 3.753, and then their cumulative is a 3.6. So it's even more impressive when you think our men's soccer team, that's their season. So fall is their season. And the women's basketball, that's basically their preseason. So they're working really hard and preparing for their season. So they're able to do both, which makes us excited for them. And there's nothing that we like more than watching them succeed. So the next slides that we have is graduation. This was winter graduation in December. You may recognize this woman, that's President Sue Edwards. And the reason I wanted to include her is that our success would not happen if it wasn't for her support. She is extremely supportive of student athletes. She's extremely supportive of all students. And every time I speak, I want to tell people this because it's true. I go to a lot of events with her, and we have thousands of students on campus. It's amazing to me how many she knows, and not just by face, she knows names. She remembers stories. There was a young man that came up to us at an event in the fall, so she hadn't seen him since spring. And she said, "Hey, I wanted to check and see how your mom was doing. I know she's been sick." I mean, this is just every student. So she's very, very gifted. And she's also very, very engaged with our student body. And that's so appreciated by our student athletes. She comes to a lot of events. So at graduation, obviously she's a little busy at graduation. We have a reception in our athletics area for all of our people who graduated. We have a photographer, their parents, they come in and we get photos. She stops by every single time to wish them well, to get photos of it, and it's appreciated. So that's another student athlete who graduated. Our student athletes spend a lot of time doing community service, giving back to the community. This project was just this past semester as well. That is a track student athlete, Sarah Lively. She won the Horizon League High Jump Championship this past spring, which is the first time we've had a Wright State student athlete win high jump. And she is with Erin Baker, who is on our women's soccer team. So we have a group called the Student Athlete Advisory Council. So it's 2 people from each team in a leadership role. We meet once a month. They tell us their needs. We get very, very honest feedback from them. We tell them our needs, what we think we're doing well at, what we think they could improve on, and then they take that back to their teams. The other thing that they do is they organize a lot of community service activities. So they work with an organization called For Love of Children. I don't know if anyone's familiar with that. It's a group that's downtown. They have basically an after-school program, and they do all kinds of things. One thing I think that they do is really nice. They have a boutique set up that young people can go in and get an entire outfit for prom or homecoming. And it's all free, and it's set up just like a store. So they don't feel like they're going in a used clothing shop. You know, it makes them feel special. So I thought that was kind of a neat thing that they do at that group. So what we did a toy drive, and we did within our staff, within our student athletes, we also did something at a basketball game. So that's just them. Can I go back? Oh, no, like, how do I go backwards? Just left. I tried. Okay, so here they are with the toys. They stocked them on the shelves down there, and they were able to provide Christmas for kids that may not be getting anything for Christmas. And one thing we got was a lot of games for them to keep at the center. So our student athletes look forward to going down there more this in the spring and reading with kids, studying with kids, things like that. So they're excited to grow that relationship. I'm a mess now. Okay, here we go. Okay, so one thing that when I took over that I wanted to do is I wanted to make our student athletes more accessible to our fans and our community, and hopefully our community, that we can make them into fans. So this summer we did an event where we had an open practice for our men's and women's basketball team. We did it combined, which was really, really nice. So our women went first, and then after they were finished, they went up and said hello to the fans. People really loved it. And then we had our men, kind of the same thing. I'm not sure if any of you have been around our teams, but I am always amazed at how outgoing they are and how willing they are to spend time with people. And I know that kind of sounds ridiculous when you think about it, because that's just being a good person. But I'm sure you've probably all been around other athletes, maybe at other institutions, that don't really have the time, or they don't think they have the time. So this event, this is Jack Dubia, and I don't know if, have any of you been to our games this year? Okay, so Jack Dubia, you remember, he's doing really, really well. It's his first year here. He's a transfer from Norfolk State, I think. Is that right? I should know that. I don't care because he's at Wright State now, so I don't care. So we had to kick them out of the gym after this event because they stayed so long. And the players, usually the players are like, can we go? Can we go? Can we go? Not this group of players. They loved it. And they stuck around. They got photos with all the fans. And oh, you might know this gentleman here. Thought I'd throw that in there. He's a huge Wright State supporter. This is actually the president's husband as well. Great. So anyway, I thought you'd all like to make fun of.
That's my granddaughter next to me too.
That's what I thought. See, and I think that's one thing that we like, that I encourage for you as well. Getting young people involved in sports, and first of all, starting as a fan, and then hopefully if they want to play sports, but even if they just like to watch sports, we love to have kids out. And we usually have rowdy at the games. We really try to go out of our way to make sure they have a fun experience. Last night, this is the first time we've ever done this. We have the fort seats around the fort. We have 4 that belong specifically to athletics. And so if we don't have a VIP or someone coming in, actually, I think we're gonna do it every game because it was a huge hit. Before the game started, our marketing director found a family in the stands, and it was 2 parents and 2 kids. And we moved them down to floor seats, and they got to sit in floor seats for the game. And when I tell you, those kids were so excited, it was amazing. So we think they'll be back. But we try to make it a very family-friendly event, a lot going on. There's music, there's lots of things. So it gets them excited, and it gets them excited not only about sports, but also about college. So that's what that event is. More pictures. Oh, there's me. Did anyone go to this game? Yeah. Okay. I want to tell you a little bit about Star Strikes Flight, how it came together and how it happened. So we all know as a community how important Wright-Patterson is to us, and how important the military is to us in this community. So I worked with administration. So Dr. Edwards, Greg Sample, we had a large committee, and we wanted to get Air Force here to play. And so we incentivized that a little bit for them. So with a little bit of guarantee money to come here. And we wanted to make sure that when they got here, they wanted to come back. We wanted to make it a special event. For the coaches, when they travel, they want to win, right? So they did not win, so we kind of blew that part, but apparently, you wanted to win too. So everything else around it, we feel that we did a really nice job of making it special. So we had, even when they got here, we put with Big Hoopla, and Big Hoopla is the organization that does the first four at the University of Dayton. So if you know anything about that organization, they're very charitable as well. So they will donate tickets to the military. So we partnered with them. I believe they ended up purchasing 3,000 tickets for military members. We donated to an organization called VetTix. Is anyone familiar with that? We've had a lot of success with VetTix. We got the most positive feedback from VetTix. So now every game we're offering at least 100 tickets to VetTix because they were so appreciative and it's important. So for this game, we had 9,600. Our attendance was announced at 9,600. We haven't had a crowd like that in years. And it was because of a huge group effort with our administration, with people in our community. We secured sponsors for the event. We had a VIP reception prior to, and just as many things as we could do to get the community involved. And I was just really pleased that it went well. So this is the kind of a kickoff event that we had. So you can see all the people involved. That's how this is gonna work. It's a video. Oh. Okay. I don't know which one. The panels on. So this is a video. The league came in, the Horizon League came in that weekend and made this video about the event, and I'm proud of it. So hopefully it will play. See, I hope the volume works. It's the bigger thing. Yes. Wright-Patterson Air Force Base is such a vibrant part of our community, and we wanted to recognize them and recognize their service. And we thought, what better way to do that than bring in the Air Force Academy for our basketball games? We put together the Stars, Stripes, and Flight Classic because we really wanted to help strengthen our relationship with the Air Force Base even more than we already have.
Well, there's a lot of layers to it. I'm excited for our players. I'm excited for our administration to be able to host a game like this. They put a ton of work. Starting with President Edwards, for example, Joyland Brown, all the people behind the scenes that are logistically making this happen.
Getting to represent Wright State and Wright Pat tonight, it's a real honor for the team.
And we're just really excited to have be able to showcase the Nutter Center while we're also honoring military members both locally and nationally. Yeah, so I wanted to show you, is that good? Or did I get too far? That's right, excuse me. I wanted to show you that we had, this is, you could probably explain what it is more than I could. Anyone in the military here? It's a robot that goes in to get explosives, obviously. So you don't have to send people in, you send the robot in. So we thought it would be a good idea to have the robot deliver the game ball. And then officially, he works nationally, so that is a first for me. I things deliver the game ball, but that was a first. So, like I said, little things that we could do. Another thing that we did with our fundraising efforts, we took some of the sponsorship money, $10,000 worth, and Big Hoopla, along with the Woodard Development, they donated $10,000. $5,000 went to Wright State, $5,000 went to Air Force Academy, and that the funds were determined that they would be used for mental health initiatives only. So that's exactly what they could be used for, and that's such an important cause of ours right now. And I think with all young people, if you look at the stats, with how many young people either need counseling or are in counseling right now, so we wanted to make sure that we were thinking about that. And besides the athletic piece of it, we wanted to make sure we did something that was taking care of them as well. So that was another point of pride for us. They have swearing in. Don't they look like babies? I'm always amazed when I got like these kids are 12 years old. I mean, it just kills me. So they had swearing in, which was wonderful. And then there's just a picture of the crowd. One other thing that we did, fix the beard. One other thing we did in the game, Big Hoopla, when they do first four, when teams come into town, they have huge welcome parties for them at their hotel. And they said, we want to do that for Air Force. And I said, well, I'm gonna be Air Force. It's kind of weird, but they said, no, think outside of that. Think outside of that. And so we had a group, and Don can speak to that a little bit because he was there, but there was a group there welcoming the players. They didn't know about it at all. So can you imagine they're thinking, we were playing Wright State, what are we doing? It was a cold night, it was bad weather, and the lobby was full of people playing music, celebrating, cheering for them when they came in. And the players really, really appreciated it. At first, once they figured out what was going on, I think you'll agree, they thought it was pretty special. They had a lot of parents who traveled with them too, and they were surprised at the welcome. So again, we want to develop a relationship. We want them to come back. So we've looked at our baseball team plays Air Force in the spring here. So we're going to create an event around that. And then we're looking at other branches of the military that we can partner with. Our goal is to have eventually, hopefully, host a basketball tournament here that would feature our university, potentially another local university, and then a couple of the military branches. That's what our ultimate goal is. So we thought this was a good way to start that process. One other thing that we've done, I talked about this the last time, I believe, a little bit. We partnered with Southern Ohio Brewing. You may have seen this with other universities. Typically, other universities who have done it, I think of University of Cincinnati, I believe Dayton, they make the beer and sell it, and proceeds go to the collective. So it's not to the university, it goes to the collective to basically pay players so they would profit from it, which is great. But we thought we would rather have something in-house that can benefit all of our student athletes and can help us supplement our budget. So we got on it first, and we partnered with Southern Ohio. They developed this beer. It's Rowdy Blonde Ale. It's available at restaurants. Last night we were at Milano's. It was on their menu. That made me happy. And we have it at our games. And if you go to Southern Ohio Brewing, it's available there as well. So we have talked about rolling out more beers. We want to see how this went. And then different types of beers later. We talked about winter ale, a lager, things like that. So that's the future. So if you ever see this in the store, know that if you can sacrifice and drink a beer for me, we will get 50 cents. We get 50 cents from each beer. And that adds up. So every little bit helps with our budget. And the reason that's important, both we're going to talk about. So name, image, and likeness in the House settlement, a new era for college athletics. So how many of you know about the House settlement? Okay. So I'll start with that. A group of student athletes came together and formed a class action suit against the NCAA for using and profiting off of them. So basically TV rights. I mean, we all know it's a billion-dollar industry that the NCAA has. So they said, hey, that's on our backs. We want some of that money. And so there were a couple of different suits they ended up combining and suing the NCAA. The NCAA decided they didn't want to go to trial. So they settled for, it's in the billions of dollars that they settled, that's going to be paid to this group. What it means, the reason I wanted to talk about it is because I think when people hear about it, they think, oh, these student athletes are going to get paid now, everybody's getting money. A very, 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 very small amount of student athletes are going to get paid. It will be the football schools, the big schools, Ohio State, the Power 5 conferences. Those student athletes will receive payment from the settlement. I would bet that not one student from Wright State will receive payment from the settlement. The only way we would be TV rights potentially when we went to the NCAA tournament, right? And that would be, and it would be probably $4. But so the billions of dollars aren't really affecting us. What will affect us, since we are a Division I institution, we are under that umbrella of the NCAA. So our university, the NCAA has cut funding to every university, so we kind of pay our share. That's their version of making us pay. For a university like us, it's going to be $1.5 million over 10 years. So $150,000 a year, which for us is the operating budget of one of our smaller teams. So we're already starting out. We are always working to fundraise, to supplement our budget, to make things better. We feel like, we're already starting at $150,000 in the hole because of this, and that's supposed to go into effect this summer. So just something to think about. I think when people are on television talking about this, I do think that part gets lost. That it is going to affect, I'd say, the mid, we hate the title, but we are. The mid majors, we're going to get affected by it. probably more, and what I mean by that is we're operating at a, pretty low operating budget right now. We have what we need and we're doing just fine. But we're not one of the big guys that has money to do a lot of things with, so it's gonna affect us. The other way it's going to affect people is they are changing the way the NCAA is set up. So they're giving us roster limits. Right now, we could have. Okay, best way to explain this. I'll use baseball as an example, and I'm just gonna round up the numbers. So baseball currently has, I think they have 9.7 scholarships. Obviously, a baseball roster is a lot more than that. So let's say our team carries 36 players. They can take that money and split it up however they would like for those 36 players. There are gonna be some players on the team who are walk-ons. They're recruited walk-ons. I don't really like the term walk-on because I feel like once you're on the team, you're on the team, you're doing the same work as everyone else. So they're a recruited walk-on. But the NCAA is changing it to say you can only have 32 people on your baseball roster. That's it. But you can have as many scholarships as you want. So if you say to a coach, hey, you can have 32 and you get 32 scholarships, they're going to be overjoyed. But the reality sets in, we don't have money to give you 32 scholarships. The bigger schools do. So now that separation grows. So you think of Tennessee baseball, they've been very successful in the last few years. They may have the funding to do that, to do 32. We may have the funding to do maybe 12. So that's going to grow. That distance is going to grow. The other thing it's going to do that we don't like as a university, because we're really focused on helping with retention, there are 6 players now that are no longer part of our program. If we're at a roster of 38, let's say, and we can only have 32, there are 6 players that are no longer going to be a part of our program who probably won't be students at Wright State because both of our student athletes come to Wright State to participate in athletics. So that hurts our retention. So it's an issue. The larger schools who are also facing this, I know that the Big Ten announced that they already have tiered their sports, but they have announced they're tiering even more. So they're gonna have, the football, men's basketball, women's basketball, they'll be top, and then it's gonna drop down, it's gonna drop down, it's gonna drop down. So some of their sports, they have, I think 32, they have a lot of sports teams. Some sports at the bottom of that tier, they're going to actually lose money, so it will affect them in a negative way as well. So that's just part of it. So we'll talk about name, image, likeness. So it's the right of athletes to profit from their name, image, and likeness, which includes social media endorsements, autograph signings, appearances, personal businesses. It's interesting when you think about this because you think about over the years, it brings me to Ohio State. Basketball and football, when they had the controversy where players were basically giving them merchandise for tattoos, right? And they got in huge trouble and it was a huge deal. Well, now that's encouraged. So it's so interesting how far away we are from where it used to be. In my opinion, I think that it all happened too quickly and it wasn't regulated because we had 2 things that happened. The NCAA instituted the transfer portal, where basically you could come in and say, I want to transfer, and I go, okay. When I was a student athlete, when I was a coach, the process was very different. I understand that it wasn't fair to the student athlete because you come in and say you want to transfer. I said, all right, well, you're not going to go here, but you can transfer. And you could literally specify schools they were not allowed to transfer to. And it was kind of more controlled by the coach. Now it's more controlled by compliance and administration. So that arguing, the courage it would take for you to come in, all of that stuff is kind of out the window. We'll have student athletes come in and say, I want to transfer. And I'll say, have you talked to your coach yet? No, I haven't done that. I said, well, you owe that to them. It's part of being an adult. We're not going to turn you down, but you need to be an adult and you need to go talk to your coach. They don't even have to do that anymore. So we have transfer portal. So now I can go in, I'm not happy, I can go in, I can go somewhere else. So we have that. Then we have school can pay players. So I'm not happy, but the school down here in Florida says they will pay me $100,000 to go there. If you're 18 to 20 years old, could you imagine when you're 18 to 22 years old, if somebody said to you, if you come to the school, we'll give you $100,000, $1 million. I'm in high school and I'm already getting $1 million. It's out of control. So now it's like they're trying to put the toothpaste back in the tube, and I say good luck to them on that. So anyway, social media, all these things. Historical NCAA previously prohibited most forms of NIL compensation we just talked about. Legal challenges argued this restriction violated antitrust law. So that's how we got here. There's a House settlement, multi-billion-dollar settlement. to compensate past athletes harmed by NIL restrictions, athletes are, they're harmed with a full scholarship and food and lodging and everything, and they get some money, cost of attendance money, and, they're pretty well taken care of. But I understand when you look at the big picture from their viewpoint, the billions of dollars that are being made because of them. And where I'm from, long story, small town. Aaron Kraft, who played basketball at Ohio State, his mom and dad went to my high school, and I'm good friends with the family. It was interesting to hear their take on it, because when Aaron was really good and Ohio State was doing really well, his jersey was the #1 selling jersey of Ohio State basketball. And you know how much he got from that? 0. So hearing that perspective, it is different. Think, yeah, my name's in the bookstore, my name's and everybody's making money off of it, except for him, and it's his name. So just a different take on it. So then my financial implications: significant burden due to the settlement, we talked about that. Potential for increased costs associated with NIL activities. Increased NIL opportunities may impact recruiting and player movement. Potential for greater disparities between wealthy and less wealthy programs. The rich get richer. Developing and enforcing NIL regulations within the evolving legal landscape, balancing athlete rights with the integrity of, that's covered up, we're supposed to say the integrity of the university. NIL used to be, it had to be an outside group doing it. So they would run it through us, but it was an outside group handling it. As of August 1st of this year, so 2025, August 1st, we could move those NIL opportunities in-house. For us, I think it's interesting because we could do things like if you own a business and I come to you and I say, would you like to sponsor Wright State Athletics for $10,000? This is what you get. We've started a program though, if you would like to do $15,000, $5,000 of that will go directly into our NIL pot to pay our student athletes. So I think that's intriguing, because a lot of people say, I don't any money to go to paying athletes, I don't agree with it, and that's okay. I'm saying to you, we do need that money to help with our budget, to help with our, expand our resources, but we do feel that giving the student athletes money for what they're doing is valuable as well. So there's a little bit different way of looking at it. What happened is so many schools formed the collectives, which we have a collective as well, the 1903 collective, which is not ours. It's an outside organization who works with men's basketball primarily. So the outside collectives would get a group like this, and you may have talked to some people in a collective and they maybe have been asked to join, or maybe you're part of one. Dayton 6, that's theirs, this is called Dayton 6, ours is 1903. I would come and speak to a group of you and say, would you like to get involved in this? If you give a certain amount of money, once a semester, you're going to have a dinner with the team, you'll get to meet them, you're going to get gear, you're going to get all these things. So that's a collective piece. The trick to the collective piece is all of this money goes into a pot, and then as a student athlete, they are able to get paid. It's not supposed to be paid for play. So they can do things like they're going to volunteer at the Boys and Girls Club, and they're going to be able to go on the Boys and Girls Club page and say, here we have Wright State athletes giving back to the community. Which the cynical part of me says I have about 200 student athletes who give back to the community without getting paid for it. Because that's just part of being a student athlete. So that's how that's changed. And I know I've never considered myself old-fashioned at all. I'm usually very progressive thinking, but it just doesn't sit right with me sometimes, because we're asking our track athletes to volunteer and go to for love of children and to deliver these toys, and all they're getting from us is the feeling that you all get when you give back. It's a great feeling, right? And then we are saying, we really appreciate you doing that. When there may be other athletes who are going to an organization doing the same thing, and then you make it $10,000. So do you see how it causes, even within an athletic department, it can cause some issues? Our student athletes are very smart. They know exactly what's going on. And it's been brought up to us. They know that men's basketball players are receiving NIL money, and they are not. But it's the nature of the beast. We know if we would be successful as a department, it's led by men's basketball. It is. When we went to the first four and won that game at Dayton and then went on, everyone was talking about Wright State University. It helps our enrollment. It helps everything. So we know that. So I understand why football players would get money and maybe a gymnast would not get as much money. I get all of that, but being involved in athletics for so long, it's just so different than what it's done before. So I guess that's like, I'm not sure how you feel about it. We can talk about it when I'm finished, but, oh no, I lost my clicker out of here. So my last slide. Oh, it's not. There we go. Oh, I had to click. So future considerations, just the ongoing debate and refinement of state and federal laws. Some states instituted laws where their student athletes couldn't do certain things, and other states said it was okay. So now we have a disparity there from state to state. Equity inclusion, here's another thing. If we bring NIL in-house, so if we start handling name, image, likeness, and like we just said, you graciously say you'll have $5,000, I'll see you after the meeting. You have $5,000 if you want to go into our NIL spend. That is part of Wright State now. Wright State falls under Title IX. So we have to make sure that we are equitably, distributing that. So if we have 55% women at our university, 55% of that has to go to women, 45% of that has to go to men. So that's a huge shift from outside collectives. The advantage to outside collectives is they don't fall under that federal mandate. So they could say, you gentlemen here, you're getting all the money. The women back there, sorry about that, give you a burrito coupon. And that's how it is. It is. But if it comes in-house, it won't be like that. So schools are trying to figure out how can we manage that so that our men are feeling they are getting what they need compared to other schools. So it's kind of, it'll change that as well. So that's what the inclusion, please. The future of college athletics, it is your guess is truly as good as mine. So it redefines the relationship between universities, athletes, and the broader public. That's what we were talking about. They'll be working with us now. And I feel like it helps us be able to regulate the types of companies they're working with and what they're doing. That's the name, image, likeness. And I think the difference between name, image, likeness and an outside collective, the collective is more involved in community service type things like that, but they're the bigger groups that can say to a player, if you come here and you do what you're supposed to do, we can give you $60,000 and you'll be getting monthly payments for that. That's how a collective works. Name, image, likeness works if I am going to Reza's coffee shop and I tell Reza's I have 10,000 followers on Instagram. I'll post about your coffee shop 3 times a week. In return, you'll pay me X amount of dollars. So that is really your pay. It's truly, I am doing work for you. You're paying me for that work. So that's the difference between the two. So we're cute. And just because I never want to miss an opportunity, this QR code will take you to our the Raider Athletic Fund where you can donate to Wright State Athletics. You can also get from there to our tickets because we would love to have you to come to a game if you haven't been to one. You're working hard every day to make the games more exciting. And I think, Brian, you come to a lot of things. Do you notice changes? We're trying to make changes every game to make it more exciting, to make it where people want to be there. And we literally, our marketing department met today. We had a game last night. They met today about what worked, what didn't, and what can we change. And the little changes like bringing that family down to floor seats, that was something small, but to them it was a big deal. So I am so open to suggestions. I walk around during games and talk to as many people as I can. What's working, what's not, what things I can't control. We love the Nutter Center, but it is a 30-year-old building. And it's very large. If the Air Force game, they were almost full, and that was at 9,600 people, and we're comparing ourselves because of where we are in the community to the University of Dayton across town. Well, we lead the Horizon League in attendance every year for men's basketball by far. But if you are a University of Dayton season ticket holder and you go to a game there and you come to a game at our place, it seems like no one's there, right? Because University of Dayton's been sold out every game for the last million years. So it's all subjective. Right here in our own town, it looks like our attendance isn't great, but within our league, we're number 1. So that's a challenge. So if you haven't come to Wright State game, I encourage you to come. We would really appreciate it. So any question? I know I said a lot of information. Oh, I kind of, did I talk too long? It happens all the time, that's my husband. You might know my husband.
Yeah.
Officer Mark Brown?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, so, my husband was a Beavercreek police officer for, I think, almost 30 years, and now he works at the juvenile courts in Greene County. He oversees security for the judge and for the courts, so he's like a Beavercreek. We don't go to corner with my husband, you never get out of there, because he literally knows everyone. So I obviously love him very much, and I'm proud of him, so I don't mind mentioning him, so anyway, there's a shout out from the ground, wherever you are. So anyway, questions?
First of all, as a season ticket holder, yes, great job.
Thank you.
More interaction. Some of the events I've been to, especially like what year we were in, but I have never talked to the coach as a season ticket holder. The head coach sat next to me, my son, and talked to us for team. That's a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Which one is a great job. Question back to NIL. I think NIL's destroyed college football. No offense to my Ohio State friends. If you win next week, you need the money, or lose next week, you need your money back. Because $20 million to pay for players is it's ridiculous and destroying. Do you think as an athletic director in the future that you'll see some caps to that
Yes.
11 player?
Yes, they've even talked about revenue sharing caps within, once this whole settlement rolls out because of that reason. But I have a perfect example of what you're talking about, and you'll remember the team before I will. I have 260 plus student athletes to worry about. I can't keep everything straight in my head. One of the football teams, the player played in the first half, and it was a bowl game. And then he in Miami, and then he said, "I'm not playing in the second half because I'm going to go to the NFL. I don't want to get hurt." Great. If I'm you and I paid $20,000 for this young man to play, and he decides he's not going to play in the second half, are you going to be very happy about that? But it's happening all the time. People are, they'll say, I'm not playing that bowl game. Whoa, 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 whoa. We gave you $1 million this year. But guess what? Can't do anything about it. Because it's an outside group. It's not under it. I think for coaches, it can create a problem of who's running the show. If you're making all of this money, someone might be making more than their coach in the smaller schools, right? You're making all this money. Who are you to tell me what to do? I already have all this money. So it's very contractually, you can't pay to play. So you can't say you have to do this, and this. So it's very interesting. Any other questions? Yes.
University of Dayton, didn't they form a club to basically raise money to pay the athletes?
Yeah, Dayton 6.
Now, that's different, of course, from what you.
It's a collective. The Dayton 6 is their collective, so it's outside the university. It's not run by the university. So we have to call the 1903 collective, not run by the university. It's run by an outside group. That's exactly what they do. They form almost a booster group. And what they love about it, what boosters have always wanted, is to be able to have more say and more involvement with student athletes. And the NCAA always said, no. And for me, it is a little uncomfortable. You say, I really want to spend time with these student athletes. Like, I'm a 54-year-old woman. Why do I want to hang out with 22? It's just kind of, that whole thing is odd as well. Now these outside groups, that's exactly what it is.
But that money specifically for paying the basketball players.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And you can specify, that's the other thing with an outside collective. I could say, I will give you $25,000, but I want it to go to only women's volleyball. You could say that as well. Yeah. Any other questions?
That corner.
Sorry, Virginia Tech. Where are they playing this weekend?
So this question, I think it's so with Wright State having their own year in that, Wright State, right?
Yes. We have talked about, the thing is, there really isn't a brand. There's anyone around that I'm aware of who makes bourbon. We have talked about, contacting, Validate to do trying to do a live. Everybody's looking at me. What can you tell us? Is anyone distilling bourbon? No.
It's like, the issue is dealing with the state, the state regulates it and getting the barrels into the state and the tax. That's the.
And I will tell you, even developing this beer with a local brewery, it was very difficult. We worked obviously with their general counsel. It took months to get that approved, months, and that was just for a beer. So we had talked about a wine, we had talked about, listen, if people are gonna buy it, I'm all about it. I should say that. So any other questions?
When you have the radio talk shows at MoDex each week, there are players that attend that.
Mhm.
Great opportunity for the players to reach out to the public that attends those meetings. How do you manage that with the players?
So I'm glad you brought that up. I should have brought it up. On Monday night, we have a coach's show at Modax. We would love for you to join us. So the coach comes, they sit with Jim Brown, legend, and Chris Collins. They do a radio show. And then the coach, they usually bring 2 players and we'll specify who it is ahead of time. The players come and this group of players, they're so great. They want to talk to everybody. So there was it was Jack Dubia. Jack Dubia does not know a stranger. He sat down with one of the tables for, I think, 15 minutes and talked with them. So this is something that the coach says you're doing it. We are fortunate enough that our student athletes still say, coach asked me to do it, Joy Lynn asked me to do it, whether I'm getting paid or not, I'm doing it. Because there's a respect there and we really appreciate it. So they go to those events and so it's a chance where you don't have to pay $1,000 to sit behind a dinner. You can just come to Modax and have some tacos and get to meet them. So thank you for bringing that up. And we have Coach Carrie Hoffman from our women's team is going to be doing the radio show as well.
Can I ask one last question?
Please.
So how does it work for handicapped people to accessibility to get into the arena?
We have ADA seating on the floor level. We have ADA seating on the floor level and we have it on the concourse level. So obviously if you're on the floor level, you come in that lower entrance. If you're on the upper level, you go into on floor 3 and take the elevator up. We are one of the most, we are still a 3rd in handicap accessible universities in the nation, which we're very proud of. And so that is every building on campus. So the Nutter Center is very, very accessible as well. So we have, there are 2 large sections on the floor, and then I think there are 2 large sections, excuse me, up top as well. Excellent.
Just last one, when is Rice State going to do this? Like,
We have to go tomorrow. Say yes. Are you scared? No, that's something we always get asked and we're open to it and maybe someday I'll just sit down with their AD and say, what do you think? But you know, it's been going back and forth for years. We would love it. We are not opposed to it at all. So we'll see. I would love to do a game like they did with when they did the mental health game for Coach Grant's foundation with Xavier. Was it Xavier?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be perfect if they right stage? But you know. I'm not gonna beg. I do a lot of things, but I'm not gonna beg. But anyway, we'll definitely open that. It would be, I think it would be great for the community. So we'll see. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Joanne. And as always, we have a book that she's already signed dedicated to the library. And it's called The Illustrated Sports and Second. So it's from Beth is always doing a great job picking these books up. So make sure you give her our thanks. Next week's speaker, Mr. Lambert. He's going to talk about the state of the city, so I think I'll take next week off. Our speakers next week are Amanda Hayes and David Brandenburg. And there will be a board meeting immediately following today's meeting. And then following that at 2 o'clock in here, there will be a reception for Chief Fiorita as he says goodbye to Beavercreek after 33 years of serving our community. So is there anything else for the good of the club? Y'all please stand, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation, justice for all. Thank you very much. Stay safe. Have strength in the when snow comes. And good.
Apparently, I was